Innsmouth, stranger.
Hi, I'm Rob Whiten from the Innsmouth Book Club. Join me and my fellow guide John Chadwick as we take you on a fortnightly tour of Innsmouth. We visit places such as the Picture House, the Library and Innsmouth Museum to discuss all aspects of weird fiction, whether it be book, film, music, TV or art. As well as that, we stop over at the Gilman House to have a chat with a resident guest. That includes authors, artists, musicians, in fact Lovecraftian creatives of all types. You can find our free shows on Patreon, and there you can also sign up as a patron, which brings you bonus content, plus a monthly PDF copy of Innsmouth News, which features articles, author spotlights, all the latest news and reviews, and more. You can find us at patreon.com/InnsmouthBC. We hope to see you soon, because remember, Innsmouth isn't just a place, it's a state of mind.
You're listening to KZOM, Oleander Public Radio. Here.
Hello, everyone. Welcome once again to People's Guide to the Cthulhu Mythos. I am your editor, DB Spitzer, and along with me are my wickedly cool co-hosts to my virtual right. Actually, no, this week, virtual top and bottom. That sounds bad. Gretchen, Dave, how are you doing this week?
I am well.
Good to hear.
I'm doing great. It's been a busy week, whirlwind of a week. I'm so glad it's the end of the week.
Oh yeah, no, it's been a weird last 7 days since we last recorded. We had it's been 14 days since we last.
Yeah, we did a panel instead of a recording.
Yeah, we both Gretchen and I both did the VIP for the H.P. Lovecraft Film Festival. I volunteered, was a vendor and a guest, and both of you were guests. And Gretchen, did you do any other volunteer work for the Lovecraft Festival other than the VIP dinner?
No, they tried to ring me back in, but I resisted. I said, no, I will not be a room captain at this movie. I want to go see something else.
All right.
I got to see. I'm really stoked. Honestly, besides our really fun panel, that was a lot of fun. We got a lot of good feedback. People messaged me afterwards. It was really great. Beyond that, I got to see some really cool stuff, man. I got to see Robert Perry do Blackwood's The Willows. Read the Blackwood's The Willows. Oh my gosh, he's incredible in general, right? Because like his M.R. James stuff is always on point, but seeing him do this, wow! And then we somehow accidentally caught the end of the Doom That Came to Sarnath, and because we're waiting for our panel time, and also I got to see
spoilers. Sarnath is doomed.
Yep.
Right. Sorry, guys. Just saying. But no. The one I cut earlier was Andrew from the H.P. Lovecraft Historical Society reading The Cats of ULTHAR and Beyond the Veil of Sleep. Oh my God.
Andrew Lehman's cool. I love that guy. He is
so cool. It was so good. It was so good. Yeah.
I didn't see him around. Did he shave his beard or something? Or
yeah, he totally shaved his beard off. I didn't recognize him at first. I was all like, I don't know who this is. But
then
it's a great voice.
I was making a joke because I was like, I did not see him around. Did he like take his glasses off or shave? Okay.
I think okay. He looked really different, but I think he also was like only there for one day. He sounded hoarse when he was doing his reading. So he might have only been there for one day, but I feel very lucky that I got to see that on Saturday.
Yeah, very much so. Very much so.
Ow. You guys had a bunch of panels, didn't you?
Oh, I only had 2 panels this year. Normally I have somewhere between 5 and 6, but because of the fact that we don't have an EOD this year, and also I was so busy with Kickstarter, vendor captain, floor captain, like I was in charge of a bunch of stuff this year. Ended up like being the captain of the meet and greet on Friday, and also like the caterer for the VIP dinner. Oh man, I'm trying to think of everything that I did for Gwen.
You did a lot, dude.
I might have had more panels if I didn't accidentally copy over my form and only submit one.
Oh,
But that's okay. Save them for next year.
Yeah,
right.
yeah, no, definitely.
Well, you and I, David, got to go to that poetry reading over at Sam's, very warm poetry reading. But
Yes.
we had a good time. There was or wasn't it poetry? It was just like short stories, right?
Short stories. I did not see a single movie. The
Oh,
whole
yeah.
film festival.
But
I got to see one. Same
But
group.
I went to
movie
14.
I
I went
saw
to 14
was-
author readings.
14?
Yep. That's,
Wow.
well,
Yeah.
it was like 5, and each had average 3 authors. So 14
But
separate
still,
authors.
you made to
read.
5 things. Generally, that's pretty good, man.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. I only make it to 5 things if I'm in 5 things. One of the coolest things I saw this weekend, actually the only thing I saw this weekend, was although Andrew Migliori was not part of the festival this year, we got to have a secret. We got to watch the secret viewing of the Dagon song that Dagon Super Beast, I think it's called. I can't quite remember, but
Mm.
it's one of those. It's like you clap along with it at the end of movies at Sunday night. It's one of these secret showings. It's like if you know, you know, and if you don't, you don't. I shouldn't be talking about this even. I think I might be.
You might be breaking the rules. I forgot to tell you, the first rule of Fight Club is you don't talk about Fight Club. Just say it.
First rule of Dagon singing: you don't talk about Dagon.
Yeah,
singing.
there's been many secret viewings in the past that have been
definitely,
pretty interesting.
definitely. I had to like introduce a lot of people to the clapping pattern, which is like not necessarily instinctual.
Is it non-Euclidean?
It's a non-Euclidean clapping pattern, and there was a handful of people that were there to like help me out with this. But yeah, no. And then I had to like step around the corner until people got it, because like I felt like the old lady at midnight mass that everyone watches to see when she stands, sits, and kneels.
Mm.
If that applies to anyone out there who's listening. But yeah, no. There's rituals to things, but you have to learn the ritual yourself and maybe change it, whatever. Anyway, that's how it goes. But yeah, no, this weekend was great. I had an awesome time. But that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about.
No.
We're talking about a doom. We're here to talk about a place
Hounds.
or things or angles. As we are curves, they are angles. We're here to talk about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's get going. Hey everyone, we are now talking about Hounds of Tindalos. No, we're not talking about Hounds of Tindalos. We're just talking about Tindalos in general.
Which there's not a lot of info on just Tindalos. I only know Tindalos as the Hounds of Tindalos or Hound of Tindalos.
Yeah, no. We're definitely talking about fictional creatures that Frank Belknap Long created back in like the very late 20s.
1929.
Yeah, and also one of my very first introductions to the Cthulhu mythos was the Hounds of Tindalos in a book that was released in the late 70s that someone read aloud to me, or a bunch of kids in my neighborhood, to get him he read it to get people off of his front porch. He was a college student who was like trying to hang out on his front porch with a bunch of like little kids being like, "Oh my God, you live in this house. This place is great. Oh my God, we remember you back when you were older or younger." And like, he's like, "I'm in college now. Go away." And then like read scary stuff to us. And a bunch of kids ran away. And I was like, this is the best thing ever.
Wow.
And that was my introduction to the Cthulhu mythos in like 81.
Man, that's wild.
Yeah.
You couldn't do that crap these days, but yeah, you shouldn't
Yeah.
at least do that crap these days. You shouldn't. But I was gonna say, hear me out. This may be a hot take, but like everything that people think about Lovecraft mythos that isn't Cthulhu is this ding dang story, and it's not by H.P. Lovecraft.
Yeah.
You want
Oh, no.
Want to know why?
Belknap Long is awesome and created really cool stuff.
Right. On top of that, the reason why I say hear me out, hot take, because okay, so the phrase "I can see everything, angles and curves," like that phrase is so like how to put like it's just it incorporates the entirety of like what people think Lovecraft mythos is going to be like. The I can see everything,
Oh my
and that's
God,
why
yeah.
I feel like this was like for real. I did not realize that the Hound of Tindalos was not a Lovecraft story, honestly.
Oh, okay.
I've always thought it was Lovecraft's property. And then when I went to reread it, I was like, oh, it's not Lovecraft.
Yeah.
No, he just mentions it in Whispers in Darkness, and then
Yeah.
Derelith just kind of like made it part of all of the mythos. But yeah, no, it's not a true Lovecraftian
I am
entity.
so ignorant.
Yeah.
I literally, I have always thought, I just never went to read the story, honestly. I just hadn't.
And Haplin Chalmers
Yeah.
is such a classic Lovecraft character.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So this is wild to me, like how much this crossover happened during this time period for, especially with Lovecraft's like friends and mythos friends, I guess. Like, were these guys buddies? Did they know each other?
Oh, they hung out. There's photos of them like hanging out on the street and stuff like that. Yeah, no. Yeah, these guys were like bros.
And they definitely wrote. They definitely wrote too.
But they
Wow.
totally have hung out in real life. There's like photos of Frank and Howie hanging out in the same street.
Yeah,
That's
I
wild.
think they were both in New York at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I honestly, just because of how this story is written, I've heard excerpts of this story. I guess I just never had read it from its beginning to end. And I literally have always just thought this was a Lovecraft story. I mean, seriously.
No, I thought the same thing for a long time myself.
It feels like a Lovecraft story from start to finish.
Yeah. It's just that Frank Belknap Long is a better writer than Lovecraft.
I know what I was going to say. I really like it better. That was the hot take.
Yeah, no, I don't feel like it's a hot take. It's like, I feel like Lovecraft had good ideas, but wasn't the greatest writer. I mean, his editors felt that way. It's like, no, you have to type this shit up, dude. You can't just write it in longhand and send it in. You have to type this up, edit your own stuff, use bigger words. And he's like, I'll show you bigger words. I'll get a thesaurus and use words like squamous. But yeah. That's
well,
my
beyond
hot
that,
take.
like, so if is there anything that isn't Tindalos that isn't the hound that is Tindalos that isn't the Hound of Tindalos? Because I can't seem to find information stating
Thank you
otherwise.
for asking.
Yeah, here's where Dave comes in.
Dave.
So the next gets picked up actually in the 70s and the 80s by Lumley.
Yep.
And Titus
Heretic.
Crow's the transition of Titus Crow, where Titus is flying around in his time clock, and he starts getting chased by the Tendalosians and their lords. And in this case, Tindalos is basically this city dimension, sort of entire cities, maybe more than one cities, maybe all tied together, that are chasing him because he's going through time. And the Hounds of Tindalos, Long never describes them. He just calls them the Hounds.
Yep.
So in Lumley's versions, they're actually like giant bats. And they're only called hounds because they get their scent. They chase you like a dog.
Yes, because you got the scent of him, as he was saying in the story.
Yeah.
So, they found the scent of me.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. No. But
and it also makes that hentai I have make way more sense now too. Just saying.
I'm sure it does.
She's got proboscises and stuff.
N- Now, Sandy Peterson has always, in the Chaosium stuff, has always had him drawn as dogs.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
Then-
No. It's they're always kind of not necessarily like thought of as like literal hounds, but in like literature how we think of hounds, and of course how we think of very specific hounds written by Conan
Doyle.
O'Brien. No. Sir Arthur Conan Doyle.
I think of the Hounds of Tindalos more like how we think of sea dragons being not dragons or
Yeah.
seahorses. I mean,
Yeah,
being
yeah,
not seahorses. Like to me, that's what I kind of envision a little bit, like
Yeah.
that kind of vaguely canine-ish in the like drawing a canine with your eyes closed and
Mhm,
on a board for like a game. That's how I picture the Hound of Tindalos looking.
Yeah. But I think of like Hounds of Tindalos is more like kind of like what they do is what we expect hounds to do. They
Mm.
seek and they hunt.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that's their main function. It's like they could have called them, I don't know, seeker hunters of Tindalos.
But
but
are the people of
hounds do a better name.
Tindalos?
What's that?
Are the people of Tindalos? Is Tindalos a place or is Tindalos a person or a type of monsters? Or that's the part I
So
wasn't quite sure from
Tindalos-
what you're saying.
Here's the Dave part.
Tindalos, according to Lumley, is a city, maybe
Ah.
multiple cities, maybe all connected, that travels through time.
Ah,
And
so they're the hounds of a place.
yes,
Gotcha.
and the Masters of Tindalos, the next step comes in about early 2000s from Chaosium, and they published a collection of basically the ultimate 21st century Call of Cthulhu module called The Unseen Masters.
Mhm.
And one of them stories is called The Wild Hunt, which
Oh.
basically you investigate murders in New York's vampire goth BSDM circuit, written by people
Wow.
who probably know nothing about vampires, goth, or BSDM.
Yeah.
And then they have Tindalosians as the creatures behind it are the masters. And they're, again, no pictures. They're not really described, vaguely humanoid, part this dimension, part not.
Mm.
And they are led by a Tindalosian who is kind of the big boss. And he has a name that has a lot of M's and a lot of letters that is not congruent to English. Named Mahatharithra as their art
Mm.
lord. And he's not, again, he's not Chaosium, who loves to basically codify the undescribable. You know, they don't have him as a god or anything, they as a separate entity. And they not only travel through time, but they can come and make hybrid humans, Tindalosians. So they basically take this. I don't want to spoil it for people who are going to play the game, but they take one of the humans and make him this mutation. And
That's
in
what
this
they do
version,
in the manga.
they're not just chasing him because of time travels. They actually suck off human energy as a food source.
Hey, just like the
Sorry.
manga.
Yeah.
But
And because the thing that Chaosium again is always trying to tie together, and this actually, the Hounds of Tindalos came out, 5 or 6 years before the Shadow Out of Time.
Uh-huh.
But there's still no reference to the Yithians in Tindalos, and there's no reference to the Hounds of Tindalos in the Shadows Out of Time. So it's always been that the Yithians can travel through time undetected or somehow.
Well, they kind of are like the spice travelers from Dune because apparently they use a psychedelic drug to bend time and space.
Which is kind of what Chaplin's doing though in Hounds of Tyndallos.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
He's a psychic traveler.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty funny. When I was reading that, I was like, oh, so he's got the spice, and it's a little racist, but okay, time period, we're taking that.
Yeah.
But man alive, that's a great story. And man, thanks for Dave and DB, I really truly thought this whole time until today until yesterday, so that this was a Lovecraftian tale or a Lovecraft
I think
tale.
a lot of people do.
Yeah, yeah. But here's the thing. It's better than a Lovecraft tale. Anytime we run across anything that's Frank Belknap long, it's like someone's like, wait a minute, I thought this was Lovecraft. And then it's like
it's like very Mandela effect though at this point.
Yeah.
Like I was like, you would have been like, hey Gretchen, what does this story come from? I'm like, oh yeah, there's Lovecraft. Move on. And then I honestly had no idea.
I mean, in some ways, yeah, it does come from Lovecraft. I mean, it's there were people who were writing this stuff separately, but then when they all found out about each other, they all kind of copied from each other openly and are like, yeah, no, this is a shared universe. So yeah, it is Lovecraft.
And encouraged it. They definitely encouraged it.
Yeah.
Well, now
So I want to spill some tea. Not about Hounds of Tyndalos, but of Brian Lumley. Like, there's this meme out there of like the person who grabs the champagne, kisses the girl, and like bites the trophy, and then you find out it's third place.
Yes, stick figure kind of.
Yeah. That is Brian Lumley. He was awarded an award in like I want to say 2008 or 9 at the Lovecraft Festival, and he got up there and he like grabbed Cthulhu Girl, swooped her back, moved her tentacles, kissed her on the mouth, which from talking to Cthulhu Girl was just he got a mouthful of fabric.
Yeah, it was totally inappropriate.
And I didn't know about this part, but I was outside waiting for my ride, and his wife is covering her face, like being like, I can't believe I just... And he's like, woo! Running to a taxi, holding his Lovecraft award, holding it out the window, going, woo! The whole time. And I'm like, what in the fuck did I just witness? And now that I've heard more of the story, like, yeah, no, Lumley is like third place winner that just is out of touch.
He was very excited, it sounds like.
Very excited. He was very excited to win something that, yeah, anyway. But that's the Hound of Tyndalos, everyone.
Yeah. I mean, what more is there to say other than like we could continue going on about like Lovecraft's legacy of like stories that aren't actually his, but everybody thinks are his.
Everyone thinks they're his. Yeah. No.
But no, yeah, I've learned a lesson. That's one thing I love about being on this podcast is like I thought I had more knowledge, and
boy,
do I get myself schooled on a weekly basis.
Same here. I do too. And I've been like covering this stuff for years, and I'm always learning new stuff. It's great. And I hope the listeners are learning new stuff.
Well,
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Well, Dave, what's the next part?
So we are going to discuss, we being me and the audience, and
Sure.
of course listen on.
Oh, definitely.
How Catherine Ann Porter, a writer of the 1930s, actually up into the 70s, Americana, not a horror writer, wrote what I think is the best cosmic horror tale in the ironically entitled The Jilting of Granny Weatherall.
Ooh. My favorite non-mythos story involves yellow wallpaper, but that's me.
That sounds like Chambers to me.
It's not. It's
Mine now
Gilman.
is that
It's Gilman.
Willow's story.
Oh yeah, that's a beautiful story. I love that one so much.
Gosh.
One of these days, I want to travel those lands in a Viking riverboat cruise. I mean, that's my plan for my retirement, actually. But
Good.
Being a Viking on a riverboat.
yes, in my dreams, I'm a Viking. I'm a
Aren't we
Viking
all?
in dreams.
In Legacy Door, a lurker from space casts a shadow over time.
We opened our eyes upon the human world. We found ourselves lying on an especially yielding bed in a room displaying scattered relics of their shallow past, tied together by more recently produced items meant to blend with the relics. Typical.
A sensitive journalist dreams of unknown lives.
It seems like every time I close my eyes, they get stronger. I can't even say the last time I had a normal sleep, let alone a dreamless one.
An outspoken lawyer defends the suspect in an unspeakable crime.
And that client was Jonathan Strauss, held for the murder of his daughter Abigail and her companion Harrison Reese.
And a stalwart investigator tries to drag it all into the light.
Some of the Reeses and the Strausses have been involved with something that seems to include an obsession with bloodlines and longevity for at least decades.
Legacy Door is a weekly cosmic horror mystery podcast. An ensemble of actors tell a story, also available in paperback, Kindle, and audiobook. Available now.
This episode is brought to you by California Tea House. California Tea House is a family-owned tea store where you can find some of the world's best loose-leaf tea and organic herbal tea blends. Like a fine wine, there is no comparison between fine loose-leaf and common broken-leaf tea bags. So, check them out. Check them out. They have quite a bit of pretty awesome tea collections. I'm a huge fan of their white teas. They have a tea club that you can join, but, they've got green tea, black tea, white tea, oolong, that Robios, and herbal tea. They've also got teaware. So check out California Tea House in the show notes. I want to tell you all about something. I want to tell you about a guy I know in a place. This is Dave's Corner of the Podcast. It is awesome. It's gonna go fast. It's not the interview pod. Ha ha. Ha ha. It's not the pod where DB talks forever, ever, ever. No, it's Dave's Corner of the Podcast. Dave's Corner of the Podcast.
Hey,
Dave,
everybody,
everyone.
it's me, Farmer Dave. And while Gretchen and DB get themselves ready for part 3 because they care about you and do their best, I thought maybe I would sit around and talk to you a little bit about what I think is the greatest representation of cosmic horror. And you may find it surprising that I don't think that the greatest cosmic horror story, or the story that most filled me with dread in a cosmic level, was not Lovecraft, it wasn't Robert Bloch, it wasn't even Robert E. Howard. It was written by Catherine Ann Porter, and it is The Jilting of Granny Weatherall. Now, before we can deep dive into this just unrecognized tome of, cosmic dread, I guess we should discuss a few things. So, here's why I think cosmic horror is so cosmic and horrible. The concept is that the universe isn't trying to kill you as much as the universe doesn't care if you live or die. So it's not deliberately trying to kill you, But it's not the universe's fault that you have to breathe oxygen and can't breathe in space, or live on the sun, or that Australia has evolved animals that want to eat you. No, it just doesn't care. And an indifferent universe is, I think, even scarier than a malignant universe. At least in the malignant universe, it notices you. It has a reason to maybe want to take you out. But in the universe of cosmic horror, it just doesn't care. You could live, you could win the scenario and make it to the end of the credits. The universe doesn't care. You're going to die eventually. And that is the meta level horror of cosmic horror, Lovecraftian writing. So why would this woman, whose face has been on a stamp, who won the National Book Award, the Pulitzer Prize for Literature, was even nominated, though she didn't win, the Nobel Prize for Literature, who focuses mainly on Americana and changing America, how did she write a classic of cosmic horror? Now, I had mentioned in a panel recently, we had about 30 people in attendance, that I thought the Jilting of Granny Weatherall was the truest form of cosmic horror ever written by a person who's, like I said, mainly known for Americana writing, not horror in any way. And I was shocked because there was about 30 people. Apparently, nobody had ever read this story. I mean, I don't know how you guys survived the 11th grade without not having to read this story. The only thing that was more traumatic in my scholastic career than this story was the time that a bunch of junior high school jocks I was a target of opportunity, decided to pound on me in the bathroom. A product of, California public school. And when the way it was set up, at least everyone I knew, 11th grade, okay, freshman and sophomore, yeah, there was some literature, but we focused mainly on grammar and spelling. In the 11th grade, we focused on English, on American literature, and then in the 12th grade, we focused on English literature. And we had this khaki, tannish literature book that I know from friends of mine, younger, siblings, that they were still using that book for at least 2 decades after I had graduated. And one of the stories, like I said, was the Jilting of Granny Weatherall. So, real quick, it's only an 8-page story. It's public domain as far as I know. It's definitely online. You can read it for free. But basically, this grandma in rural, South United States is dying. And so her family comes together with the doctor, and they start going through her things. And they discover that Granny had a secret life they didn't know about. And that, in fact, she was madly, passionately in love with this man named George that they had never heard of, who literally left her at the altar, completely abandoned her. And eventually she would marry another man, John, who was sort of this, he was a good man, but didn't really have that passion, a more traditional farmers, late 19th century, early 20th century relationship. They had a son who died, and now she's dying, and her family found these records, and they're shocked, that grandma was, dumped at the altar, and that she'd kept this a secret. And then she's lying on her deathbed, and she looks up and she sees death. And then after a while, she realizes it's not death. It's just her imagination playing tricks in her mind. And then, she dreams of being back with her dead son and husband, and even meeting again in the afterlife this George, this man who devastated her but that she couldn't stop loving. And then it dawns on her, it's not true, that there is nothing, and that when she dies, she's going to cease to exist, and her memories and her love is going to cease to exist, and she gets real angry before blowing out the light and everything going dark. Wow, this writer, who, like I said, is not a horror writer, nailed the scale of cosmic horror, and that there is no savior, there is no afterlife, there is no reward for being a good person and sacrificing, and the anger that she felt at the end. And like I said, I think this is the best example of cosmic horror. As I was saying in the panel, where I was saying, I was talking to a therapist. This was at a party, not in therapy, but where she basically says that there's this theory going on that this fear of death is so pervasive, so overriding, that it's in us, it never leaves us, and it controls our actions and our thoughts, even though we're not consciously aware of it. And that is this mythos that Lovecraft created, this mythic fear that is inside us, that there is nothing but the universe, and the universe doesn't care about you. The universe is not this benign, loving father, but it's also not Satan. I mean, if you believed in Satan, that's kind of reassuring, that there are higher powers, some of what we are told is true, that there will be at least existence after this world. But in this universe of Lovecraft, this much more realistic universe of Catherine Ann Porter, and maybe even the universe you and I are occupying right now, there is no answers. There is only death and entropy. And our regrets are going to end when we die, but we're going to carry them. And that's some heavy stuff. And that's scary stuff. And I remember, 11th grade, this was like prime ADD time for me. And I had this, I would read and I'd be jumping and bouncing all over the place. I love to read, but I'd be bouncing all over the place. And I kind of missed this whole point about George, but I locked in that last page and I fully got what Porter was saying. But the next day when we discussed this with the class, I would say a good 50% of the class, maybe more, maybe 75% of the class, did not understand what Porter was saying. That they thought it was this sort of strange sort of story about a grandma whose first love disappeared. But they had difficulty accepting the fact that this story is saying there is no afterlife. And I have to admit, I reread it for this, and so my Mandela effect kicked in, and I thought that everything went black in the story. And it's more symbolic that it's going to go black when she blows out the light lying in bed. But this class that I was in, this a bunch of 11th graders, 16, 17-year-olds, they couldn't understand. I'm not saying it's true. I'm just saying what Porter was saying is that there is this agnostic, uncaring world. And they understood the part about the love of your life not showing up. But they really didn't understand, for the most part, what Porter was saying about the ending. And that's because I feel it's such a heavy, powerful, overriding fear that they might have grasped the words, but especially at that age when you're, undestructible, and if you have faith, the faith is undeniable, the faith is indestructible, that they didn't understand this principal challenge to the way that the universe is perceived by them. And that is the whole purpose of cosmic horror, that it honestly, the first purpose is that it entertains. The second is that it challenges us on this notion of what the universe is and reality. All right, well, I like I said, this book is free online. I would recommend anyone to read it. And now that, after you listen to this, I would suggest that you, consider it with a cosmic horror slant. Well, it looks like DB and Gretchen are about ready to return. So let's talk about a movie.
Moving on to the next part, just to remind everyone, if you like what you're hearing, like this episode, share it with people, subscribe to the podcast, find us on Facebook. We're under People's Guide to the Cthulhu Mythos. We're on Twitter. I don't really check Twitter, so it's just kind of the automatic feed if you just want to listen to us on Twitter for some reason. You can find us on any place, any podcatchers that are out there. Of course, Facebook, Instagram, and of course, the YouTube, where this episode will be. And, yeah.
Hey everyone, it's me, DB. New sponsor on the show, Glary. Glary offers a great price and better quality goods and services for music lovers. Are you looking for good prices, free shipping, 100% quality guarantee? Glary's got you covered. Guitars, bass guitars, mandolins. They've got saxophones, trumpets, drums. They've got guitar cases, amplifiers, all the stuff that you need without having to break the bank. Inexpensive doesn't have to mean cheap. Check out the show notes to find more about Glary. 20-watt amplifiers for under $50. Hard cases for your electric guitar for under $80. Guitars themselves for under $90. Come on, folks, check out the show notes. Get a Glary.
This part of the show doesn't have a theme song. This part of the show doesn't have a theme song, yeah. David and DB and Gretchen go to the movies. Hopefully next week we'll have a real theme song, yeah.
All right. Hello, everyone. It is The Doom That Came to Gotham, the film, the comic book, the film. How are y'all doing?
I really liked this.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, I'm the least. I feel like I'm the least knowledgeable about Batman's universe.
Go for it.
But okay, first time I watched it, I fell asleep and I was like, damn. Second time I tried to watch it, I got lost about halfway through and was like, I could not grasp that this was an alternate universe. And then the third time I watched it, I completely fell in love with every moment of it because I was able to understand that they're only using them by name alone.
Yes.
And that's it.
Yep.
It's nobody else. And that it's actually not any specific Lovecraft story, but actually just a bunch of Lovecraftian aspects.
Yeah, no.
It took me 3 tries to watch it and really enjoy it. But like I said, the first time I was like, boom, asleep. And the second time, I had trouble because I kept trying to assign them their characters in the DC universe that I was familiar with.
Oh,
and
gotcha.
so I kept being like, well, why? I just couldn't grasp why certain characters were together. And
Sure.
the third time I saw it, I just completely fell in love and was heartbroken by the deaths of Grayson.
Yes.
And Sanjay.
Yeah,
So,
no.
spoilers.
Anytime Jason
There'll be
Todd
some
dies,
spoilers.
I'm a little bummed out.
Oh wait, this movie only just came out. Shit.
That's
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
We should have spoiler alert this a while back.
This is based off of a comic book that came out in November 2000 to January 2001. Spoiler alerts galore, but I mean, it's set in 1920s Bruce Wayne. I mean, like, part of me is like, spoiler alert, but also the other part of me is like, if you like Batman, you should have probably already read this comic book. But anyway, I have feelings about spoiler alerts on this.
Yeah.
If you've read Lovecraft, if you're familiar with the Batman franchise, you can see stuff coming a mile away.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
But I do like how they, in the cartoon, they change up the gender and race of the Robins. It's not just Jason Todd, Dick Grayson, the other one,
Stephanie or whatever her name is.
Oh no! I'm thinking about Tim Kaine. No,
Tim. Yeah,
Todd.
Tim. No, it's Jason Todd, and the other Tim. Yeah, I'll think it up.
Yeah, you guys know Batman. I do not.
Yeah.
And so they get, and that's one of the few things, because I sat there with the book, and I watched it all the way through, and it's about 80 to 90% copy of Magnolia's work.
Oh yeah, no, definitely.
This was Magnolia's work?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, no wonder it had that look to it.
That Hellboyish thing to it.
Yeah.
No. And it has one of my favorite DC characters of all time, Etrigan, Jason
He's
Blood.
so cool.
Oh yeah, no.
I only know him from okay, so my experience with like DC and dark is with the well, first of all, Vertigo. And then second of all, I do like the Dark Justice League stuff.
Sure, yeah. No, I was going to be like, Gretchen knows about Etrigan probably through Constantine or...
Yes, exactly. I was about to say Constantine is one of my favorite characters, but I love Etrigan because he's such a fun character, talking in rhyme.
Yeah.
It's Tim Drake, by the way.
What's that?
Tim Drake.
Tim Drake.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's his kid, right? That's his child one.
No, that's Damien.
That's
Damien.
Yeah. So I think they swapped out Carrie Kane from, I can't even remember who Carrie Kane is.
So this is a new character. Kane is a new character, but her name is based on Cassandra Cain and Carrie Kelly from The Dark Knight that Returns.
Okay, that's who I was thinking.
Yeah, and the reason why they did this was that because Bruce Wayne had been traveling the world for 20 years. Mm-hmm. It didn't make sense that he had 3 orphans from Gotham.
Yeah.
It made more sense to make them international, make them, different genders.
Sure.
It fit the story. I honestly think this is an improvement.
I do too.
The other thing that really it's just a minor change, but I think it was an improvement. Spoilers, is that in the book, Ollie is killed by Poison Ivy,
Mm-hmm.
and then Batman destroys Poison Ivy by taking a burning log from the fireplace and burning her.
Yeah.
In this version, Oliver Queen gets to use a hand grenade, take him and her out. So, he kind of died like a wimp in
Was
the
it
book,
a
but he
holy
went
hand
out as a badass in the book.
Well, knowing Oliver, yes.
Was Oliver okay? Also, just a quick question: was Oliver always a Knights Templar, or is this just for this story?
So this is for, as far as I know, for just this. And
Yeah.
Okay.
and one of the things is that the book does go a little bit more backlog.
Mhm.
That he takes this on because his father and Wayne and Cobblepot and one other guy basically make the deal with Yogg-Sothoth.
Yeah.
So when he finds out about it, he turns to Saint Sebastian in an attempt to try to stop Yogg-Sothoth's return.
Mhm.
Oh. They did not give that enough of that history, other than the fact that we made Oliver like quite a few hundred years old or something like that.
Yeah.
Which I also thought that was interesting too. And there were so many like cool nods. I mean, like even okay, so the guy who Langley, is that his name is? Langstrom. No.
Langstrom.
Who
Yeah,
was the
Kirk
one that
version of
was
Freeze.
the one that was frozen?
Langstrom.
That's Langstrom. Okay. Langstrom, I thought he was really interesting as a was that Dr. Freeze or Mr. Freeze?
In the old comic books, that's Man-Bat.
Oh, okay.
Professor
Who was the
Langstrom
guy
is
who was
Man-Bat.
frozen? Like that was the corpse that was talking.
Yeah.
That wasn't
Yeah.
Langstrom.
When Bruce shows up at his manor and there's the corpse.
No. The one that was the that was actually like the
Freeze
zombie.
sit in.
What's that?
The guy with no eyes.
Yes. Who is that?
I thought they were both Langstroms, but
No, Langstrom had was voiced by like what's his name? By Jeffrey Combs. He was Langstrom. Cobblepot. Then there was somebody else. Not Lucius Fox. Not Cobblepot. Professor Manford. I can't remember, you guys.
yeah.
Dang.
Okay.
Dang. Yeah. Anyways, so the character that the guy they brought back from the ice that wasn't Cobblepot was that Langstrom?
I'm looking up the names right now.
My brain's broken right now. I'm like, I don't remember. I just.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I got a little
No.
lost. Like I said, the story confused me because I kept being like, I kept wanting to assign them their character roles.
Definitely, yeah. And like names are changed and positions are switched around and stuff.
Yeah.
It's
like
even
I
at this
love
point in
Barbara
time,
Gordon
like,
as like the Oracle.
Yeah.
Fucking rad.
Oh yeah.
Like that was a cool idea. I really liked. It was a cool idea to use. Well, Ra's al Ghul and like Talia didn't really seem much different from their normal selves. That's their kind of normal shtick.
Yeah, that's their standard.
And the book makes it much more clear that Ra's al Ghul is Abdul al-Hazrat.
Oh, see, yeah. And I felt really bad for how Harvey Dent, like he just got it like bad on that one, like one touch, and the corruption.
Okay, so in the comic book, the character who is frozen was named Grendon.
Brendan.
Yeah, but I don't know. I can't.
Yeah. You're right. So Grendon is the Mr. Freeze.
He's Mr. Freeze.
Yeah.
Okay. Just making sure, because I thought that would have been really dumb for him not to be, considering he was a frozen character, and I was like, this has got to be, and he has freeze powers.
Yeah.
Yes.
So he had to be. Only made sense. Okay, thank you for verifying.
Yeah.
And
I'm telling you, that's why I got so upset with this movie. The second time I tried to watch it, I was like, why is everybody acting weird? I don't understand.
Yeah.
And so this is one of the first of the Elseworld series.
Is it?
Sure.
It's not
Yeah.
the first. The first is Gotham by Gaslight.
I
Oh,
love that
okay, okay.
But it's one of the first.
Mhm.
And I first came across the books when it was still a 3-parter.
Yeah, same. I bought them when they were coming out.
Yeah, and I found them a couple years later at a comic bookstore in Ventura, and they only had the last 2. So it wasn't until like 2 or 3 years ago that I read the first chapter when they finally did publish it as a trade paperback.
I used to go to my comic book store, and I'd pick up my comics, and I would walk over to a sports bar called the Sports Page, and I would have a massive hamburger, like the type of hamburger that comes with like egg and cheese and bacon and ham and 2 patties, and it's like 2 pounds of beef, and then like fries and onion rings, and like eat all of that slowly while I read comic books like once a month. And the doom that came to Gotham is like my favorite period of time. Like I love just eating a massive hamburger, drinking a couple of beers, and just reading stuff. And people would be like, "Oh, what you doing reading comic books?" It'd be like, "Fuck off, I'm reading comic books." Don't make me get off
this is
my
how
bar
I
stool.
felt. Honestly, because I'm, like I said, I'm not incredibly knowledgeable about Batman either.
Yeah,
I'm
go
getting
for it.
there. Batman has got a lot of crossovers. It seems like beyond that,
Yeah.
our Asylum book, like the Arkham Asylum book that like was drawn by Dave McCain,
I love that
from
book
who
so
did the art from
much.
Sandman Comics.
Yeah, I love that book so much.
Essentially that's how Batman got me.
Yeah.
Batman was like, "Oh, Gretchen, you like Dave McCain's artwork and you like spookiness? All right, here you go." That was when I was like, "Oh, well, Batman's rad."
Yeah. I've been a fan of Batman since watching the Batman 66 TV series every Sunday on Channel 2 in Portland, and then Channel 6 Saturday mornings had Super Friends, so I would watch the crap out of that. But like, I've always thought Batman was really cool.
I just like, I mean, what can I say? I'm dark disposition. I like the spookier stuff, so I think that's what draws me in. Like anytime Batman would show up in like Sandman comics and things like that, I always found that really interesting and neat. But beyond that, like the new 52s, that stuff, like there was a lot of dark things that got introduced in those storylines.
Yeah.
I was a huge fan of the Animal Man series. I don't know if anybody read that.
Oh yeah, no, I'm
Oh
familiar
my
with Animal
God,
Man,
I have like PTSD from it. It was so good.
Yeah,
We could
no.
totally do an episode about that.
I totally love Batman up until the point where like in like the early 70s when Batman is less of like I'm fighting aliens, I'm fighting people who choke people with poison gas, and Batman's more like, I'm a cop. I work with it's like ACAB includes Batman at a certain point.
Yeah, he was kind of get roided out kind of behavior, and that's why I kind of never got into Batman. But then you do something like this, and it's fucking beautiful. Oops, sorry.
Yeah, no, Batman is a gothic hero until he gets incorporated into like more modern things, and is like, I'm the darkness of justice, in the darkness, in the in the
and
night,
that's where I feel like it takes
crime.
The new, and not to be like totally derailing from the doom that came to Gotham, but I feel like the new Batman movie really was a moment of like stepping back into that. This is what Batman should have been.
Sure. Batman's a private investigator. Batman is the darkness. Batman deals with superstition, and he's not out to get every criminal. He's out to get the criminals who do the most damage, but then always lets the Joker go and doesn't use guns. And there's Batman's complicated, convoluted, and your favorite Batman is the Batman you were introduced to, and the Batman that follows your personal beliefs. And there's so many fucking Batmans out there that I feel like We all
Oh.
can have our own Batman. You can have your thin blue line Batman, or you can have your rainbow Batman from the 1960s. It's like, I have to wear a different color every night, Robin, or they'll understand, kind of like you can have your Silver Age Batman. You can have your Golden Age Batman. You can have your Modern Age Batman. It's like there's so many different variations of Batman, different Elseworld Batmans. It's like, seriously, there is a rainbow of Batmans that we are all like, people who don't even think that they would like each other can come together on Batman. And it's like, I feel like Batman is a unifier. It's like if everyone just like opened up their shirts and showed their cool Batman t-shirt, I think a lot of us would get along better.
Aw.
Yeah.
You need to get that tattooed on you. You know that. Then you rip open your shirt, and be like, check it out.
That's actually like my thesis. It's what I nail to the church.
Nice.
Or the comic book stores.
It's completely, your mileage may vary.
Exactly.
And there is no wrong answer. Kevin Conroy is the best Batman.
Yes, I agree. Just as Mark Hamill is the best Joker, Kevin Conroy was the best Batman. It's like,
which one is he?
That was the voice of Batman for the animated series.
Oh yeah, he was great.
Yeah, no, and it's like they could draw him any way. You can close your eyes and imagine what Batman looks like.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I like the voice of the Batman in this particular episode because that's the guy from Grimm. And I really like that actor.
Oh,
but,
sure.
Yeah, I thought that he did a really good job of being that voice, but I immediately was like, wait, isn't this the dude from Grimm?
Yeah. I always wanted Alec Baldwin to be Batman, but he got to be the Shadow, so that's awesome.
Yeah. So one other thing that I really liked on this version,
sure,
Killer Croc is a deep one.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's it's one of the things that's a little bit more laid out in the comic book because he has webbed hands.
Yeah. No, and there's things with Cobblepot that I don't feel like are laid out with like the albino penguins from like At the Mountains of Madness.
Yeah.
And there's certain things that it's like they just didn't have enough time. There's not enough movie. This would have been like a mini series instead of, which would have been a better idea. The comic book was made in a mini series. I feel like this should have been made in a mini series. But hey, who knows? 20 years down the line, it might happen.
Right.
Everyone remakes everything constantly.
I'm waiting for somebody to pick up Animal Man's property and do it justice.
Yeah. No, definitely. There's so many cool DC properties out there that are kind of like not as prominent as Batman. Like Entrigan. Like Entrigan is like this second, third rate DC property that only gets used in like, oh, well, what if Batman and Hellboy met up? We need someone to be and it's like
he always gets supposed with Zatanna too, right?
Yeah. But it's like, I don't know. Entrigan, I feel, is like could be used in the same way Hellboy is used.
Yeah, I do like the way they used him in this particular movie, though, because like when she brings out the salamander and they kind of know each other, I thought that was pretty cool that they were both like kind of like Lovecraftian deities that kind of knew each other. And they were all, ooh, let's cage match. Woo, brother.
Yeah. And that, and, you know, Magnolia is unique in the fact that he does have this deep knowledge of both Lovecraft, but also of, you know, the Batman family, the Bat mythos, if you would.
Yeah. I like to think of it as the Bat family, but yeah, I like the Bat mythos also. But yeah, no, it's like Mignola, like who is better to do these two things? The only other thing I could think of would be like, I don't know, Hellboy or like if Mignola did something like in the Marvel universe, I think the best thing that would work, because Marvel isn't really like this, but I feel like if Mignola did something like this, it would work out really well for like Daredevil. And like, I feel like Daredevil as a Marvel character who lives in like a Lovecraftian world, like, you know, have Daredevil live in Red Hook.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But anyway.
I don't need Marvel to do it. I'm kind of done with Marvel's franchises.
Yeah,
I mean,
no,
you know what
no.
DC should do, in my opinion? If I ran the world of DC, I would be like, all right. So obviously, the properties that everybody's familiar with is not working. So let's do Justice League Dark, or like, you know, doing Constantine stuff, and people are familiar enough with that we could just run with it.
Yeah, no,
But-
it's the the DC properties that are working are the ones that people are less familiar with like
Yeah.
Peacemaker did pretty damn well.
Oh my gosh, and that was hysterical, and it was so smart and so fun to watch. I loved it.
No, it was very kind of a Rosencrantz and Guildenstern kind of thing of
Absolutely.
like, you have the main heroes doing stuff, but who does the stuff in the background? And I love that kind of thing.
That's what they should be doing, is like focusing on those kinds of markets, because honestly, like
Yeah.
if we have one more reboot of the Batman, I'm gonna lose my mind.
I would love to see a show about the Robins or like the
Yes!
Bat family and what they have to do
But
to
not
like,
Young
and
Justice
like have
stuff.
Batman like show up at the end of the episode, at the beginning of the episode, being like, I need my back sewn up again, or like, I need some protein drinks, or you know.
Or like I don't want to see like I don't need to see Teen Titans again. Like
Nope.
I'm good. Let's go.
We're good. Yeah. I
I'm
like
so mean.
yeah, no. I have to say it's like the other shows that are from DC. It's the Doom Patrol that I like. It's
so good.
Yeah, it's Peacemaker. It's stuff like that I care about. It's Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy's show that I'm liking.
Oh, it's so cute too. Yeah, you guys, seriously. Not to be totally, like we said, I've totally derailed this episode. Sorry.
Nah, not really. I mean, this is where I was gonna go.
DC be smart.
DC be smart, and DC be smart by making this a comic book and then a movie. And we don't want to spoil shit for people, so we're not going too deep into it. Just know that it's Lovecraftian. Know that it's Batman, and love it. It's really good, and I highly recommend you find the original comic books, the trade paperback. Dave, I know you agree with me on both parts.
Yes, and you know what I'm going to say, which if what done right, could be done with a very Lovecraftian flavor, is Dr. Fate.
Oh,
absolutely, dude.
Definitely,
Absolutely.
Yeah, because I feel like Doom Patrol already has like Lovecraftian elements to it.
Oh gosh, I mean, there's a street named Danny, right?
Yeah, and I feel like Peacekeeper has like Lovecraftian elements. It's like, you know, alien invasion, but anyway.
Yeah.
Watch Peacemaker. Peacemaker. My brain's not working. But like, I enjoyed like the last Suicide Squad movie, which was like Starro, which is like one of the Lovecraftian things in DC. And it's just like, I like this kind of like, the movies that I've enjoyed have been kind of like darker Batman movies where Batman's less of a cop and more of an occult detective. I love the Dark Justice League stuff that's come out. There's a lot of good stuff that DC's been doing, but I feel like DC also at the same time put so much stuff out to appeal to so many people that at some point in time it's going to hit the right people. It's like, I haven't seen a Justice League movie. I haven't seen any of the Shazam movies. I haven't seen a modern Superman or Batman movie since like the one that had the Joker in it, and the other one that had the Joker in it.
Oh yeah, then you should see the newest one. It's pretty good with Robert Patterson. He does a great job.
Okay, all right. The one that's called The Batman?
Yeah, that one's really, really good.
Okay, I've been waiting for someone to say that one's really good. Like someone with an opinion that I trust. Not a media critic, but someone who I know likes spooky stuff in the same way I like spooky stuff.
Yeah, it takes it to a level that's intense and a little like off-putting at the very beginning of the movie. There's a really intense scene, and I remember sitting in the theater, and there's a small kid in front of me, and I'm all, oh, this poor kid. Just what you just witnessed with a carpet edger. I'm so sorry.
Yikes.
Yeah, so enjoy. It's pretty intense.
Okay. And something else that I want to put out there, if we're talking about Batman, horror, and DC, is I'm not sure if you two are familiar with the concept of 3 Jokers.
Mm-mm.
Kind of, yes.
But DC has done one of my favorite things with the Joker, and it explains that there are actually 3 Jokers.
Oh.
There's a comedian, there's a criminal, and there's a clown.
Huh.
And the criminal is the one like Jack Nicholson. He's the one who's what's his face that has stuff tattooed on his face in the grill. That's all kind of that Joker.
That's
and then
Jared Leto.
Yeah, the Jared Leto Joker. And then you have kind of the ha ha ha, I'm here to be an asshole and fuck stuff up, and I'll put white paint over my mustache. It's the Cesar Romero Joker. And then you have this person who's honestly just a criminal, just has a military background, knows how to use guns, knows how to use explosives. And it's this is the Heath Ledger Joker. And it's there are 3 Jokers, and Harley Quinn is in love with one of them, works with one of them, and refuses a third one. And that she won't work with the Heath Ledger Joker. She'll work alongside of the clown Joker, but she's in love with I'm getting them all mixed up. The criminal Joker. But yeah, it's various theories and stuff that I've read and actual comic book stuff. But yeah, it's something I find fascinating, and we're bringing it up right now. I'm bringing it up right now because we're talking about Batman, which we never get to talk about on the show. So all of our Batman stuff is coming out, except for Dave, who's very focused on the show.
That's because I'm Focus Man.
I think that's Taskmaster, Dave.
Oh, okay. I was going to say it was Alfred.
Alfred, okay.
Yeah, he's the Alfred.
All right. Well, I don't know who that makes us.
I'm Constantine. I'm just saying.
Yeah. No. I'm a Snapper Jones. What's that guy's name?
I don't know.
A minor character in the Justice
Talk about
League.
Two-Face? I don't know.
Yeah.
I would say Batmite.
Yeah, that's a little bit closer to me. Batmite. I love Batmite so much. Anyway. Little known fact, Maxwell Brooks, creator of one of Dave's favorite books, World War Z, was the voice of Batmite.
Oh, I did not know that. Mel Brooks is his father, by the way.
Oh, yeah, and Anne Bancroft is his mother. But he did a few voices on Batman Brave and the Bold, and did some voices on Batman Beyond. He was the voice of Terry's friend when Terry's friend dates a robot.
Oh, okay.
Which
Terry's,
again, an underrated show.
Yeah,
Batman
definitely
Beyond
an
is
underrated
completely
show.
underrated.
Which has an amazing thing at the doorstep episode, which
Yes.
I was talking to a bunch of people about, and they weren't aware that that was a thing on the doors, that there was a Batman Beyond episode that involved Ra's al Ghul and Thing on the Doorstep. And they're like, I haven't seen that episode, but you told me that it's Thing on the Doorstep. And I'm like, yeah, but it's Ra's al Ghul, Talia al Ghul, and Bruce Wayne. And then everyone went, ooh!
Which is another tie-in, is the Ra's al Ghul is Abdul al-Hazarad theory.
Yes, yeah. And I always get those two mixed up, but yeah. Fun stuff.
You don't see them both in the room at the same time either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You never see them in the same room. Yeah, you never see Rasputin, Ra's al Ghul, and Abdul al-Zred in the same room at the same time. Good point, Gretchen. All right. Well, I think that's a good time to say I think we're done with the show.
Yeah, as we totally are away from the doom that came to Gotham.
Yeah.
Which I've had to stop myself from saying Sarnath like 1,000 times.
Oh my goodness. When I was typing up stuff today, I kept typing in Sarnath, and yeah. All right. Well, hey, everyone, thank you for joining us. And Gretchen, Dave, thank you for joining me to talk about Batman and Hounds of Tindalos and everything else that we've talked about. Yeah. So we'll see you all next week.
Oh, yeah.
You'll hear our voices and you'll see our names on the screen of your podcatcher. Find us anywhere you find podcasts. Join us on Facebook. Join us on Instagram. Hey, Gretchen, what's our Instagram account?
PGT
PGTTCM_.com, I believe. Is that it?
Something like that. I think.
Okay.
Hang on. I'm still working out the kinks on learning how to navigate 2 Instagram accounts on the same app.
Gotcha.
So if you see that coming up, just I'll go follow our personal Instagrams, and we all have links to the podcast.
Oh yeah. Look for us in the show notes.
Yes.
All right. Thank you again, everyone, and we will see you in the future.
Because that's where you're going to spend the rest of your life.
Yep. Stay squiggly and keep it weird.
Bye.
Bye.
That was a good episode.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
It was.
All right. Well, I had a lot of fun talking about Batman with you two. And
oh my gosh, yes. Now I'm like, I have to read more Batman.
Oh yeah. Well, I have like literally probably about 30 pounds of Batman comics around here somewhere.
Oh wow.
Mostly in trade paperbacks and whatnot, but yeah. One of my favorite ones that I have is like I think it's like Batman Crisis or something like that. It's like natural disasters all over Gotham, and like Gotham's been broken up into like literal gangs, and it's like declared a disaster area, and like the United States government is almost like, maybe we should just like let Gotham eat itself.
Oh wow.
And like Batman's not around for a big chunk of it, and yeah. I think it's called Crisis. I can't remember. Anyway.
The new Batman has that vibe. I really think you should check it out if you get the opportunity.
Good deal. I definitely should. All right. I need to go eat dinner. You two have
I gotta
a good
go
night.
finish making dinner.
I'll check this out in the near future. And
I'll get this out to you. I'll get out to you either tonight or tomorrow.
Sounds good. All right. You guys have a good weekend. I will talk to you in the future. And yeah.
All right. Take care.
All right. Have a good weekend.
You too.
Bye, guys.
All right. Bye.